The teaser video of the newly announced Project Hexe Assassin's Creed game does contain a number of secrets that can provide the proper lead without leaks to reveal the setting of the game, and these secrets involve the so-called alphabet of the Magi. In the video we're going to show you all the steps that we took to decode and translate the two messages hidden within the teaser, and how those messages, coupled with other hints found in the teaser and the codename of the game, can actually reveal the setting of this new experience. So let's sharpen our decoding tools and have a look at all the secrets from the Project Hexe teaser. So, in case you missed it, Project Hexe is one of the two new games or experiences planned for the Assassin's Creed Infinity platform that were announced during the recent Ubisoft Forward presentation, and its teaser was surprisingly unusual to say the least, which also means very fresh. It has some ominous music, a very gloomy forest environment, the assassin's crest unexpectedly turned into a witch stick talisman, and even the final logo was unusual, featuring the same assassin crest and a pentacle with some symbols written over it. And because we saw those strange symbols, but to be honest, also because Marc-Alex Sicotet said that something was hidden here, all of this immediately piqued our interest, and we entered mystery solving mode to try and find all the hints here, some of which are actually presented in a mysterious language. The Isu language decrypting feeling, but we're not talking about the Isu language here for once. So let's start from the title of the game and the hints it could provide us with. It is called Codename Hexe or Project Hexe, and I would imagine that a lot of people might have recently become a bit familiar with hexes and witches thanks to the WandaVision TV show by Disney and Marvel, but even if you're not, in occultism a hex without the E at the end is like a spell or a curse. It's like something that could be cast to bewitch someone, which is what was shown in WandaVision. So we are in that kind of theme and topic, but here in the game it is not called Hex, it's called Hexe. And when we looked up the word, we did find out that Hexe in German means witch, so not exactly the same meaning of enchantment that the word has in English, but still something very much tied to it. We then moved our attention to the symbols around the logo, and having the word witch as a hint, we have searched for these symbols, trying to match them with symbols or runes used as an alphabet in witchcraft or occultism. For starters, we found the Theban alphabet, which gave us the feeling of being on the right track, but we couldn't find a perfect correspondence between it and our symbols. So after some more research, we have finally found the alphabet that did match the symbols pretty perfectly, and that gave us that epiphany feeling that makes the riddle solving worth the effort. Like we mentioned earlier, the alphabet in which these symbols are written is called the alphabet of the Magi. No, not those Magi's. The Magi, as in the plural of magus, which in Latin means magician or sorcerer, or in this case, somebody that deals with the occult. The alphabet of the Magi is the modern name of a variant of the Hebrew alphabet that was mostly used for inscriptions in talismans in 17th century occultism, and that according to some sources was actually created by Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim, also known as Paracelsus, some time before in the 16th century. Paracelsus himself is not a new character to Assassin's Creed. He was an alchemist and occultist portrayed in the game Project Legacy that studied the pieces of Eden brought to him by the assassins, including a book called the Book of Abraham, which supposedly contained the learnings of an author called Abraham of Würzburg. This book wasn't a normal book though, as it supposedly filled the minds of the people who read it with an overflow of information which drove a lot of them mad, including Paracelsus himself to a degree. Evidently, the book was an Isu artifact, and thus within the Assassin's Creed lore, maybe it is from that Isu book that Paracelsus created the alphabet of the Magi that we are seeing here in the picture. As you can see, there are symbols all around the assassin's crest and some more symbols spread inside the pentacle located within the circle. So let's start to decode the letters placed in the circle around the assassin's crest. Once you identify which letter corresponds to each symbol, it is pretty easy to figure out every letter with the exception of this one, which does not belong to the original alphabet, but which is used, as you will see, as a U. So these are the words that we obtain. At first glance, for an English-speaking fan, this wouldn't make much sense, but I'm pretty sure that the German fans amidst you have already recognized that that text is one of the most famous mottos of the Assassin's Creed, written in German, and as usual, sorry for my pronunciation there, Wir arbeiten in dem Dunkel. We believe there is a little mistake here with the letters because it should be Dunkel, dem Licht zu dienen, which means we work in the dark to serve the light. Actually, it's slightly different than the proper and original wording of the motto in German, but we get the gist here. This is about the assassins. And thus we got the first part. It wasn't too hard, right? So let's get into the second part, the symbols within the circle. What we did at first was converting them to the Latin letters that we know, but just looking at them like that didn't work, and we needed a little more time because we couldn't make any sense or find any pattern that could help us reading these letters. Eventually though, we figured that maybe the circle and the lines were actually defining some areas that we could use to organize and interpret the letters, and in the end we decided to have a look at the areas defined by the pentacle. There is an external one, there is an internal one, and there are all the other areas defined by the vertices of the pentacle itself. So we can consider these like three concentric circles of letters, and if we read the letters for each circle clockwise, started from here, we obtain three words. The first one is Mephisto, the second one is Rache, and the third one is Husa. So, the first one is Mephisto. We're meaning business here. In case you didn't know, Mephisto, or Mephistopheles, is a demon from the German folklore, a worker for Lucifer, that is famously known for his appearance in the Faust legend. The second word is Rache, which in our interpretation is the imperative form of the verb rachen, which means to avenge. The third word, Husa, on the other hand, gave us quite some problems with the translation. Eventually, we found a Husa word coming from Proto-German meaning house, but honestly, even if we read these letters in another order, we would find the word house, which also means house, but in modern German. So the full sentence, if we got everything right, would read Mephisto or Mephistopheles, avenge the house as in our house or our family. This very much looks like it's a spell or an enchantment, and a revenge-based one at that, fully written in German. So we have occultism, witches in the codename of the game, assassin crest-shaped witch sticks talismans hanging from trees, the assassin motto, an occult spell aimed at Mephisto, an alphabet heavily used for inscriptions in talismans in the 7th century occultism, and across all of that, the German language. All these seem to point to one single setting, and that is the German witch trials of the 16th and 17th centuries AD, performed by the Holy Roman Empire. Yeah, you could read that in the leaks as well, and not even properly reported if you ask me, but wasn't this much better? Moreover, in that century, present-day Germany executed more people for witchcraft than any area in Europe, and more specifically the most infamous trials were held in the Catholic southern area of the region, which could be the word map we might be dealing with in the game. Among those witch trials were the Fulda ones, the Alzenau ones, the Ellwangen ones, the Mainz and the Bamberg ones, and the massive persecutions finally ended with the Cologne witch trial in 1639. And if we actually want to include the end of the 16th century, we can even mention the witch trials of Trier that took place between 1581 and 1593, so yeah, we have a broad spectrum of possibilities. But one of the biggest mass witch trials and executions that happened in this period of time were the Würzburg Witch Trials of 1625 to 1631, which took place during the 30 Years' War between Protestants and Catholics and resulted in the execution of hundreds of people. And as we said, they took place in Würzburg, the same location that the supposed author or original owner of that issue book that drew people mad with an overflow of information was coming from. He was called Abraham of Würzburg, and the book he owned was also dealt with by other occultists. Coincidence? I think not, but we'll probably not know if we are right or wrong for several years anyway. So I would actually like to know what you guys think of this, if you have any different interpretations about this newly revealed game about the Assassin's Creed Infinity platform, and if you'd like to know more about the Infinity Hub, the game set in feudal Japan, and even the potential modern day Abstergo context surrounding the platform, you can check our dedicated video that you can find on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.